Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. It is The System is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, and getting tyrannical governors out of their elected leadership tyrannical positions. We're talking to Scott Schluter here in just a moment. Before we do, let me kick this intro and we'll jump into this thing if I can find my button. Let's get weird. Here we go.
The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Remember a simpler time when it was okay to be weird, have fun, and think for yourself?
Well, those days are over. The art of conversation itself is dead. Sacrificed on the altar of divide and conquer and disguised as political correctness and spared feelings. I believe that unity can only come from truth, and that the only way to find truth is by exploring and embracing our valuable differences and having civil, open-minded, and uncomfortable discourse. Conspiracies, politics, religion, and all the taboo topics your family just praise you don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table. We are here to literally change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. So if you're easily offended, put your big girl panties on and buckle up, Buttercup, because you chose to be here. I'm Dan Smots, you are the power, and this is The System is Down.
That is correct. You know where you are. You know what you're in for. Or do you? I don't. I don't know. Well, we're going to find out together. But before we get into this conversation, kill the music. First of all, before we get into this conversation, I have to remind you guys about our beloved sponsors, first and foremost being you guys in the Downers Club, people like Pavlok, Chain Serrato, Brian Johnson, Anthony Peoples, Carolina B, Jack Casey, Javari, Mark Claire, Kyle Evans, Greg DaCosta, Ryan Mortensen, Joe Kabinski, Anthony Meyer, something, Davis Johnson, Stephen Hartman, Tim Brown, John Odermatt was there, David White, Lucas Riley, Mary Rome, Justin Zielinski, Liberty Hippie, John Barnhausen, William Wells, and a bunch of other people. If you want to get your name on that list and possibly have me miss it every time, because I feel like there's about 5 people that I hit every single time, and I've kind of got them memorized, but if you want to be overlooked or potentially memorized and get the bonus content, go over to patreon.com/The System is Down, where you'll get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly bonus episodes every week at patreon.com/The System is Down, or you can just go to thesystemisdown.tv, the brand new website. You can log in and do all the stuff there and support this show and help it keep getting bigger and better and more sexy every single week. We are also sponsored by excuse me, by My Brave Botanicals, free ounce of kratom. They've also got Delta 8 THC, the Delta variant of THC. They've got CBD, they've got colloidal silver, and all your natural products that the government is not a big fan of, it seems like. You can get 5% off all the products by using the promo code TSID. You can also just try a free ounce of kratom. If you don't know what kratom is, you can get it for free at freeounceofkratom.com. The show is also, that's not supposed to go there. The show is also sponsored by The Royal Green, which is a book written by a guy named Jack Casey. I just had a conversation with him on MeWe earlier today. He's about the only person that talks to me on MeWe, but I'll stay on that platform just for him because he's a generous guy in supporting this show. And he was talking about, he listened to the bonus content because he's a fan of the show. And he said, that story you told, that spicy story about the drama, yeah, I support you because of that. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. If you guys want to know what it is, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/The System is Down. But get Jack Casey's book, The Royal Green, at theroyalgreen.com because he's got the balls to support this show. All right, that's enough of the pleasantries. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and what you're here for, which is, of course, my conversation with Scott. Scott, is it Schluter or Sluter?
However you want to say it's fine with me. I've heard a lot worse.
Sure, but what is it officially?
Schluter.
So I'm just got to make sure. I don't trust people with a bunch of extra letters in their name arbitrarily. So I just gotta know if I can trust you, and apparently not. Scott Schluter, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me on, and valiant effort at reading all the names at the beginning.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I do my best despite the ADHD. But tell me a little bit about yourself. We got kind of paired up. One of the guys that I worked with on the Jorgensen campaign, actually on the tour, got me in touch with your guy, who got me in touch with you, who brought you here, and now we're here. And They said that you were looking to take down the evil Pritzker. I'm in Illinois myself, so I was like, absolutely. I don't care who he is or what he's about. Any enemy of Pritzker is a friend of mine. So tell me about you before we get into that. Give me a little back history on who Scott Schluter is.
Well, I'm an Air Force vet. I did 6 years in the Air Force. Was an ammo troop. I built bombs, handled explosives, that sort of thing.
Interesting.
Besides that, I've been a lifelong resident of Southern Illinois. I'm in the Marion area,
Okay.
and after I got out of the military, I attended Southeastern Illinois College. Got 2 degrees in diesel technology, and I've been working as an automotive tech and diesel technician for pretty much since I got out of the military. I'm a father. I've got a 10-year-old little girl. She's amazing, and she kind of she's a lot of the impetus for what I'm doing and for what I've been doing with my political activism. I want to leave the world more free for her.
Yeah.
And
so you worked for Stark Industries building bombs, and now
Yes,
you're a
that's
libertarian
correct.
somehow. What was the transition into libertarianism from being a bomb maker?
Towards the end of my career in the military, I started seeing some friends and family from back home. My Uncle Danny being one, sharing some Ron Paul videos, some R. Lee Wright's videos, and quotes and things of that nature. And just kind of started looking into it. And I was actually on my second deployment. And my Uncle Danny was like, oh, if you like some of these videos, you're going to love this, and sent me an audiobook of the law. And so I was actually doing gate duty with my M16 on my shoulder with earbuds in, listening to the law on audiobook.
Nice.
And it's kind of just been all downhill from there.
Yeah. So did you how did you get out of the service? Did you was that it? Did you have a come to Jesus moment and you're like, I can't do this anymore? Or was it more gradual?
Well, at that point, I only had less than a year left in my enlistment, and kind of over that year, it just gradually built that it was, I'm not going to try to re-enlist again. There's no point in it,
Yeah.
So it was sort of towards the end anyway.
Yeah. Have you always been, you might have said this, but have you always been an Illinoisan?
Yeah, other than, my time in the military, I've lived in Southern Illinois my whole life.
Okay. So you're very familiar with governors in Illinois and our wonderful track record. Cool. So what makes you more qualified to, I guess, apply for the position of prison consultant or whatever? I don't know what they end up doing, but mob boss. For those that don't know, every single Illinois governor for the last 10 years has looked like and consequently been an Italian mob boss, essentially, including the one that we have now. But what makes you better?
Oh, by the way, I do have an awesome T-shirt that has a picture of Blagojevich and Ryan behind bars.
Nice.
And it says Illinois, where our governors make our license plates.
I like it. I like it.
But
They're finally earning their keep.
You asked what makes me qualified. I love this question because I'm not.
Sure.
I'm not qualified. Neither is J.B. Pritzker. Neither is whoever the Republicans throw on the ballot this time. The fact of the matter is nobody is qualified to tell you how to run your life besides you. You are the only person qualified to run your life and to make decisions regarding your life. As long as you're not hurting people or taking their stuff, nobody has that authority and nobody has that qualification.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's my job as governor to ensure that the state government and to whatever degree that I can, the federal government does not infringe on your right to live however you want.
Okay. So no lockdowns coming? Is that what you're saying?
No.
You're going to save us from...
No.
What's been your take on... obviously, J.B. Pritzker disagrees with you heavily on, individual rights because we're still on soft core lockdown at the moment. What's been your take on how things have gone over the last year and a half under Pritzker?
It's been pretty awful. It's been pretty draconian. I think from the very beginning, what should have been done and what I would have attempted to do is to be completely transparent and to be 100% transparent with what we didn't know as well as what we did know, because that is not how it was handled by any level of government. They instead would lie to us. They would make up facts and sell them to us as if they were scientific fact. Come to find out it was not, and they really had no idea what they were talking about. And when people find that out, they lose all credibility. They don't, when you're told 1 week to wear a mask and 2 weeks later don't wear any masks, and the week after that you need to be wearing 2 masks on top of each other. And which, there was a good reason for that, or a good reason behind that. We were having a mask shortage, and we wanted to make sure medical personnel had them available. But we should trust the American people, and we should trust Illinoisans to make those responsible decisions when we give them the actual facts and the transparency in what's going on. And we should have been trying to foster a situation where people did those things responsibly rather than trying to force it down their throat and lying to them.
Right. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, this is very libertarian-y, but I think it's kind of like the drug war. Like, we should be educating people on what is the best answer for them instead of punishing them when they don't do the thing that we like to do. But you mentioned, or you said, you're not qualified, which is a very libertarian theology answer, and you're right, and nobody is qualified. So I love that answer, but what would you... So for the common voter, that's not going to be good enough for them, probably. They're going to need some hard... Like, what are you going to do, though? Are you just going to go in there and say, no more governor position, I'm just going to be completely hands-off, you guys got this? Or what does Scott Schluter for governor actually look like?
Well, obviously criminal justice is a big thing. And as governor, I am in charge. I'm the executive in charge of the executive branch, which the state police falls under. Yeah. So I will appoint a director to the state police who is more interested in protecting civil liberties than infringing on them. I will essentially direct the state police not to arrest anybody for victimless crimes, not to pull people over for seatbelt tickets and other, dumb crap that is only used with the intention of raising money.
Yeah. Even if they're like 16 to 18, because, man, I got a hell of a lot of seatbelt tickets in Illinois between those ages, and they made bank off of me, I must say. How are you going to pay for this stuff if you're not taking it from 16-year-olds, man?
Yeah, that's just a tax on the poor too.
Yeah.
Obviously another big problem we have is the state pension crisis, which is just completely insolvent. I think we're $145 billion in unfunded pension liability, and that absolutely has to be fixed. I want to get rid of the FOID card. For those who don't know, the FOID card is the Illinois gun ownership card that you were required to have just to purchase or possess a firearm or have it in your closet. Yeah. It's a complete violation of the Second Amendment and our individual liberties, regardless of whatever piece of paper says it.
Right.
So I want to get rid of the FOID card and replace it with absolutely nothing. I think that
I like that.
We were responsible enough to own firearms. They're nothing more than a tool. Violent acts are caused by people, not weapons.
Yeah, I listened to your interview that you did with Matt Wright recently, and you were talking about the FOID card. And as somebody myself who was born in Illinois and has lived in Illinois for the vast majority of my life, it didn't even occur to me that this wasn't a normal thing, even as a libertarian. So I was like, really? That's not a thing? And my brother, he was born in Illinois as well, but he moved to Iowa. So he doesn't have a FOID card, but he came over here, and we were going to go shooting one day. And we went to buy some ammo, and I had to show my FOID card, and the lady asks him for his FOID card, and he's like, oh, I don't have one. I'm in Iowa. And she said, oh, okay, that's fine. Just show me your driver's license, and you can go. It's like, so does it matter or not? Like, if I said I was from Iowa, what difference does it make? If he is just as qualified to have a firearm in Illinois without a FOID card just because he's, like, why does he get benefits living for not being from here? I don't get it, but it's insanity.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. So, with I don't know what just the Pritzker stuff. I could just angrily talk about. Is that what caused you to, or made you make the decision to run? Like, is it just because he's so bad, or would you have done it even if there was, like, let's say, a decent liberty-minded Republican or something in there?
I mean, I suppose it would just have mattered on the situation, but I was pretty set on running. You know, we started building this campaign in January, and we've been having at least weekly or more often campaign calls since February, I believe. So, you know, we've been building this up for a little while now. Pritzker being just god awful definitely had something to do with it, but Rauner before him wasn't much better.
Right.
You know, we've got to have a governor that is willing to stand up to the Chicago crime syndicate, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
known as the General Assembly.
Right. Yeah. What's your, like, there's a lot of, for people outside of Illinois that kind of look at Illinois as they're Chicago. And as far as population goes, that's kind of the case. And so Chicago is making all the decisions, and I'm down here in the Quad Cities area. You're down in Marion, right? Yep. Marion? Yep. Okay. And so we're kind of away from that for the most part, and we don't really have a say. What's the solution to that? Do you? I know some people talk about splitting up the state. Are you in favor of that?
If that was something that you know, we've had it on the ballot a few times. If that was voted on, I would certainly support it. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked into the numbers as far as how feasible that actually is, but it's definitely not something I'm against. I can see where my life would be better off if Chicago didn't have any influence on it, and I know a lot of people in the southern half or 2/3 of the state feel the same way. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So, what primary things are you running on? Like, what are some of? I mean, I would imagine the lockdowns and the COVID restrictions are certainly a top priority as a libertarian. Is there other stuff you said? Policing. Is there anything else that you're pushing for most strongly?
Yeah, I mean, obviously fixing the pension, fixing the budget, lowering taxes in any place possible, lowering spending in any place possible. You know, I have vowed and do vow to veto any bill that comes across my desk with any amount of a tax raise. I don't care if it's 0.000001%. I will not sign off on any tax raise. They will have to pass it, you know, against my wishes. And I'll also utilize line item veto for that same exact thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, criminal justice. We need to decriminalize all drugs, not just marijuana. We need to reform the recreational marijuana bill because it's probably the worst one in the nation.
Yeah.
And we need to be, you know, utilizing treatment, mental health treatment, and drug abuse treatment centers rather than incarceration. You know, every study ever says that it is way more effective. I want to end cash bail as widely as possible. Cash bail is ransom. It's nothing but a ransom on the poor. Mm-hmm. Mandatory sentencing, no knock raids, civil asset forfeiture. I mean, you know, right. It goes on and
on.
The
classics, the libertarian classics. Yeah. Cool. You mentioned the marijuana bill and all that. So a lot of people praise Pritzker, obviously. Even myself, I was like, hey, if we can get somebody to decriminalize marijuana, then great. That's a step, at least. But little did we know that he would decriminalize marijuana and then go on this tyrannical tirade for the next year and a half immediately after. He's like, we'll give you the weed to cope with what's about to happen to you. So we've got him put in there as a Democrat, and I imagine there's a lot of upset people with the way he's handled things since then who are going to be like, well, I guess we'll go with the Republican. I think it kind of leaves you in a good spot to shine, because you're like, yes, we'll keep the weed, and also, you know, everything else that you guys are doing in these podunk towns anyway, so you guys can have your meth and eat it too. It's fine. So
we'll keep the weed and not shut down your family business.
Right. Exactly. So, are you? I know you're for like decriminalization of drugs as just as general libertarian principles. Is that something that you're like really focusing on, or are you? Because it is kind of a conservative area once you get outside of Chicago. Are you? Do you have any concern about pushback even on the marijuana or going further or libertarian stuff in general being a problem for some of these Beltway Republicans?
I'm not too concerned with it. I'll stick to my principles regardless of what you think or what anybody thinks. But I think that there's a way to sell the message, and even conservatives can get behind some ideas, and I think that it's just important to to talk about it in a people way. You want to talk about the effect on people and how our ideas and our solutions will actually help people get off of drugs and help people stop committing crimes while they're under the influence and things of that nature, and show the facts, show the data, show the recidivism rates that go way down when you offer treatment rather than incarceration. I think that's the way to sell it, is just bringing the people aspect into humanizing the situation rather than just being numbers on a sheet of paper.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is you want to kill grandma with COVID, you want to kill the kids with drugs, you want to arrest the police if they try to stop this, and
I want to feed your puppy antifreeze. Yes.
Nice. Okay. Sealed the deal. Wait. There we go. So I had a thought, and then I totally derailed it with my bad jokes. But you have run for office in the past, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I ran for state rep a couple times. Failed to get on the ballot both times due to our ballot access restrictions. Even though I qualified to be on the ballot, I was still thrown off. I was back and forth to state board of elections, hearing after hearing for a couple months. And
now, I have a lot of listeners that aren't libertarians, so feel free to talk about Illinois ballot access and how that process works. I'm sure most people don't even know.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's one of the most restrictive ballot access laws in the country. So essentially, for my area to be on the ballot as a state rep candidate, as a Democrat or Republican, I was required to get 500 signatures on a petition. As a third party, I was required to get, I think it was 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned in 2,300. They went through line by line and said, that signature doesn't look the same. We're throwing this one out. Or that address isn't right because they moved last week. We're throwing this one out. And they actually invalidated over 1,000 signatures that myself and my team and my supporters went out and collected from Southern Illinoisans, and they said they don't matter. They said that their voices don't matter because they didn't update their voter registration when they moved to the apartment across the hall.
Yep.
Oh,
that's your representation for you. You have to work twice as hard. If you disagree with the two main parties, you have to work twice as hard. And then when you do, we're still just gonna say, nah, screw you. We're gonna go with the other guy because I don't know. Keep talking about your former campaigns. I kind of derailed that a little bit. Sorry.
Ran for state rep twice and was thrown off due to ballot restrictions both times.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I was going through these hearing process with the state board of elections, defending myself and trying to, get on the ballot, the Republican Party of Illinois' lawyer from Chicago called me on the phone to discuss a motion or something that I made. I don't remember. He said, "Now you're an attorney, right?" I said, "No, I'm a mechanic. I'm just a really freaking smart mechanic." And
Nice.
He was just kind of speechless, didn't know what to say. So that was entertaining.
That's great. We need somebody who can think or has the intelligence of an attorney, but not the experience of an attorney, not the beaten downness of the system of an attorney or the shadiness.
Right.
So,
I had fun on the campaign trail both times, and I'm certainly having fun now and putting in the real work that needs to be done.
Awesome. So, Pritzker gave us weed, and now you want to make it worse, which I find it funny. Like when Pritzker gave us weed, I saw some I think even some liberal type people from the Illinois area that were against it, saying, "Oh, that's really what our state needs is a bunch of stoners." It's just the hypocrisy of that, and the people that. There's one person in particular, I'm not going to say his name, but there's one person in particular who said that, and I know for a fact that he smokes weed on a regular basis, but judges people on the surface. Yeah, I don't know. What my brain just totally froze. I'm sorry. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Let's get back to Pritzker then, because this is an ADD show. But Pritzker's net worth is $3.5 billion, according to Google. Trump's net worth is $2.4 billion. I did not know this until today. And where did this guy come from? Who is he? And why is he a monster? Maybe I should have asked these questions a couple years ago, but...
I mean, I'm not certain I would call him a monster. I think there's the possibility that exists that, he's making decisions he makes for good reasons or for good motivations. He just certainly has no idea what normal life is for anybody because he's been, spoon-fed everything his entire life. He's never had to struggle. He's never had to go to work 9 to 5. He's never had to worry about, trying to float his cell phone bill to pay his power bill. He has never had those problems. He doesn't understand the day-to-day life of normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects the way you make decisions. That affects, the way you think about the world. And he really just doesn't get it. And
Yeah.
He never will.
Yeah. It's interesting how, I don't know, and there's like kind of scandal with him. Was it him and Blagojevich, like some tapes or something from back in the day that seemed a little shady, where they were talking about the Obama seat and all that? Do you know about that?
I'm not sure. I guess I haven't seen that.
I should ask, are you planning on running a clean campaign, or are you going to go libertarian mudslinging here?
I'm not a big fan of mudslinging. I'm going to...
I'll push you there.
Pretty straight and narrow.
I'll see if I can get you there in this interview alone. Nice. What are some of your plans? You're running on the Libertarian ticket. Is there? You are a Libertarian, obviously, but was there any thought to run as a Republican or a Democrat or anything else in the duopoly parties?
Not even for half a second. I have a soul, so.
That's really all I needed to know. Good answer. Good answer. So with that, do you there's been some baggage with the Libertarian Party. Of course, there's baggage with every party, but as of late, there's been a lot of baggage with the Libertarian Party, it seems like, and a lot of drama. Do you have any concerns about any of that causing problems or anything? Do you have any concerns? Or are you just like, screw it, I'll do it, and if I lose, I lose?
I don't really. I don't have any concerns about all of that. I know a few people here and there on both sides of all of the drama, and really all I care about is Illinois. That's where I'm running. That's where I live. That's what I'm doing. I've been working in the Libertarian Party of Illinois for the better part of a decade, holding multiple titles. I know that we have a strong party. I know that our bylaws are great, and our leadership is amazing, and is not going to tolerate any kind of that drama. And, we just have a great team that will work things out and talk about things like adults before it gets to the point of this big public fiasco.
Yeah.
And I'm really not worried about it at all.
Cool. Do you have anybody doing video ads for your campaign?
Not yet. We actually, I'm supposed to have a call with Harrison Kemp here before too long to talk about that.
Okay. Well, if you are looking, I know a guy who lives in Illinois who is a Libertarian who did the video ads for Joe Jorgensen's campaign, Vermin Supreme's campaign, Spike Cohen's campaign, and the Mises Caucus. I can get you in touch with him.
Okay. I'm sure you can.
Because it's me.
Yeah.
But
I was picking up what you were putting down.
Yeah. I'm not going to assume but yeah, if I can play any part in the removal of Pritzker, it's a win-win. There's bonus pay to that as somebody who lives in Illinois. So, yeah. What are you? So, you're running on the Libertarian Party. and you're unopposed as far as like you don't have the nomination yet, correct?
Right. Our nominating convention is at the beginning of October.
Okay.
To my knowledge, there's no other announced candidates. There may be somebody that decides to run between then. There might be somebody that just shows up at the convention and decides that they want to run, and that's fine. I think multiple candidates is a good thing, and especially if there are multiple good candidates, we can only push each other to be better, and whoever ends up winning will be the best messenger for the party.
Mm-hmm. And do you know anything about any Republicans or Democrats that are running or contemplating running or anything like that?
No, there's a few Republicans. I'm not gonna give them airtime.
Sure. That's fair. Fair. I'm sure we'll hear their name way too many times over the next year anyway, so it's all good.
For sure.
Yeah, cool. So let's get into like some of the nitty-gritty of how you would actually run a state or a dictatorship as it has come to be known over the last year. When it comes to something like a pandemic, I imagine like it's really easy for you and I as not elected officials to bitch and moan about how the governor is doing and this and that. But I don't know. Like I'm certainly not going to take Pritzker's side on any of this, but the amount of pressure and the amount of scrutiny that the governors were all under this last year, certainly not an excuse, but everybody that went along with it, it's not like they were making tyrannical decisions intentionally necessarily. I mean, some of them were, but I feel like most of them were just kind of like, oh, this is what we do now? Oh, I guess this is what we do now. This is part of the job to protect everybody, quote unquote. How would you have handled what happened over the last year? What would you have done? Would it be nothing or something?
It would have been just to, be transparent, to give the information to the voters and to, through that, gain their trust and give out, actual medical and scientific recommendations. And through my actions of trusting them, hopefully gain their trust in what I was recommending to them, rather than, heavy-fistedly hammering down mandates upon them. It's not my job to tell anybody what to do as far as in their daily lives. That's not the governor's job. That's not any legislator's job. The only thing that elected officials are supposed to do is work together to protect your individual liberties.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all I want to do.
So how would you do that? How would you protect our liberties if, I mean, just as far as like, it's just easy to say, I would not do that. I would not do that. I would not do that. But when the pressure is on, would you like push back on some of these other, like, I don't know how this stuff works. Like if there's funding, would you say we're denying federal funding? We're going to push against this. We're going to take the risk and do this on our own, or how would you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're entitled to taxpayer money from Arizona or Maine or anywhere else. We certainly aren't.
Yeah.
I would do, as far as state government or executive branch offices, I would do the responsible thing. I would mandate or direct that they operate in a manner that is safe and responsible and health conscientious. And then I would recommend that the rest of the public do the same, and perhaps even work through some tax breaks or something to reward people for doing the same. That could certainly be something that we could talk about and figure out.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, just, transparency, not necessarily related to COVID, but just related to everything. We've got to lower taxes, reduce spending. We've got to deregulate the economy enormously. One I think good thing that came out of this, we saw a lot of occupational licensing, it's like, especially for nurses and medical professionals, get delayed or, put on hold. They didn't have to renew their licensing because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw that, nurses don't automatically forget how to do their jobs because a piece of paper expired.
Right.
And I think that's a good segue into, reforming our occupational licensing.
Yeah.
We've got to do all the things that we've got to do. There's a million of them. The list is a mile long, and all I can do is start working on it. I'm gonna like I said, veto every tax raise. I'm going to go through the prison rolls and use pardon on everything I can for victimless crimes where there's no, there was no violence or victim.
Would that include former governors?
If there were any in there for a victimless crime, sure, but I don't think that's the case.
Right. That kind of goes without saying. Yeah. Uh, cool. So, what is your life exactly right now? Like, do you spend most of your time doing liberty stuff? You say you're a mechanic, but we all know that liberty activists and especially people running for office, most of their life is spent doing that. And a lot of the time that ends up just being spending a lot of time and money to end up going back to your 9-to-5 job. Not to be a downer about it, but that is often the case. What are the odds, I suppose, would be my question.
What are the odds of
something coming out of this?
Good. I think they're very good because I know that we're doing the work to ensure that they are. Mm-hmm. We are going through voter data and coming up with walk lists and having, an army of volunteers that is going to go door to door. We've crunched all the numbers. We know exactly how many doors we need to knock on, how many people we need to talk to, how many people we need to interact with to make this happen. Mm-hmm. And we are going to do it.
Awesome. What is kind of your sales pitch when you're doing these door-to-door knockings, similar to the vaccine salesman of today? When you're going around knocking on people's doors, what do you tell them? Like, are you focused on the messaging of liberty, or are you focused more on just the ballot access and getting elected?
The message of liberty. I think while ballot access obviously is very important, it's had a negative effect on me in my previous campaigns and a lot of my friends and brothers and sisters in this movement. But I think that ballot access is going to be a byproduct of the way that me and my team are running this campaign, and which is professional. It's the way that winning campaigns operate. Mm-hmm. And like I said, while ballot access is certainly important, and it's a thing that I have no problem talking about and love to, because I want people to understand, what we have to go through every single year. I think it's going to be a byproduct of how we're doing this. And, a big, ancillary goal of this campaign is just messaging. It's spreading the message, getting the word out there, letting people know exactly what libertarian principles are and recruiting them into the party, making people understand how our ideas will give the best quality of life for the biggest amount of people. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're going to bring in recruitment in record droves. I think we're going to bring in fundraising in record numbers. And I think it's going to equal out to vote totals in record numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. So in running against Pritzker, what would you ask him? Like, let's say you're on a debate stage together and you were given, let's say, 2 or 3 questions that you can come up with to ask him about how he's done over the last year and a half. What would you ask him?
I would say, oh man, that's a tough one.
I know he's watching. I don't mean to.
I'm sure he is.
I don't mean to give him any tip-offs for things to come, but spoilers, Pritzker. Turn it off now or skip ahead so you don't find out.
I have to ask him the libertarian trope. If stealing 100% of my earnings is theft, at what percentage do you think it doesn't become that?
I like it.
That's necessary. I'll just throw one away right on a common libertarian trope.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say a libertarian trope like if you had a button to end the state, would you push it? Like, that's a strange. I don't know why that's where my brain went, but I was like, that's a strange thing to ask a guy who loves government.
From a pure anarchist standpoint, he's sort of done that over the past year and a half, has he not?
That is true. He's ended the government that we had, at least. Which I meant to ask: are you do you lean more anarchist or minarchist, or where do you go with that?
Pretty minarchist. I think there's a time and place for government, and that time and place is, the place is protecting our liberties. It's just the entire reason for government is to protect individual rights. That's it. Period. Dot.
So you believe in protecting liberties by force?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Stealing money to protect liberties by force.
No, oh no, oh no. But we can have a government without forced taxation. We can have a voluntarily run government. The word government is nothing more than
Sure.
you and I getting together to collectively protect our property, and then getting the neighbor over there and the neighbor over there, and all of a sudden we are a neighborhood council. That's what government is in its infancy,
Sure.
and I'd like to see us closer to that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not letting you off the hook. You need at least one or two more questions for Pritzker.
I would ask him if he thinks his government or his governance has been a net positive or a net negative. Now we know what he's going to say, but I think it's important to get him on record.
Now, I wonder, does somebody who is that mad with power, do they look around and think, yeah, I'm doing great? Like, do they ever have a moment of self-reflection and think, maybe I shouldn't have, destroyed our economy, and maybe I should stop trying to do it?
I'm really not sure how self-aware he is. You know, he's sort of like Donald Trump in the fact that he's been spoon-fed yes sir, no sir for his entire life.
Right.
So
yeah.
He's just used to getting his way and doing whatever he wants, and that's kind of what we've seen.
Absolutely.
And for a third question, before you bring it up, I would ask him. I would ask him if he would be willing to write an executive order bringing back Little Caesars Pizza by the foot. And that one's for you, James. And that one is for James Week, who asked me that one time.
There are some libertarian principles that are worth laying down if they have the right outcome of bringing back Little Caesars Pizza by the foot. Yes, absolutely. I like it. Now, I haven't really followed local politics as much as I should. Now that I know somebody who is running, I would be more inclined to do so. But what is, we know with the presidential debates and stuff like that, there's never a libertarian in it because they keep moving the goalpost. Is it kind of the same thing for gubernatorial debates locally, or how does that work?
In the last gubernatorial election, our candidate Cash Jackson was in the debates with Rauner and Pritzker and whoever that other guy was.
Yeah.
And
who cares? Who cares who he was?
And he did very, very well.
Really?
Which I know Cash personally. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had some turbulence on the campaign, but man, that guy is awesome.
Yeah.
And
I heard him speak once at the Illinois convention.
Fantastic.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
He was fantastic in those debates. I mean, he really was, and I think I can do just as good, probably better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you say that just because you're running, or do you honestly believe that you could do better?
I think I can. Well, I can do better. I believe.
Okay.
I think I have a better grounding in policy
mm-hmm.
and policy related things than Cash did. Cash is just enormously charismatic, and but I think I've got a little bit of that too.
Sure. Yeah. How did he do as far as numbers go? I didn't pay attention because I'm a bad libertarian.
I can't remember. It was right around 4%. I can't remember the exact percentage right now.
Okay. What's kind of the average for libertarians in Illinois governor races? Do you know?
I believe that was the highest percentage for a libertarian as far as for governor.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
I think right around 3.5% is pretty average, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Now, how are you going to beat that? What are you going to do differently, or how are you going to soup things up as far as campaign trails and plans and things like that?
Doing the things that winning campaigns do, targeted canvassing. I'm not going to waste my time going to somebody's house that has voted Democrat for the last 30 years in every single election, or Republican.
Yeah.
We're doing targeted canvassing. We're going to have walk lists on people's phones that tell them exactly which houses to go to. As far as for volunteers, tell them exactly which houses to go to, exactly, what parts of the platform we're trying to push in this area, or, just pretty much, just making it very, very, very easy for volunteers to get the word out to who we want to hear it.
Mm-hmm. You said not like skipping houses that have voted primarily Democrat over the last whatever. Maybe I'm misquoting you, but are you primarily focusing? Would you call yourself more of a right-leaning libertarian? Are you focusing more on the Republican vote, or how does that?
Oh,
work?
no. I meant either party. If somebody
Okay.
is dead set in their ways, voting one way, I don't need a volunteer to necessarily waste their time talking to them, because we're pretty certain they're not going to vote.
The deplorables, the flyover houses.
If that interaction needs to happen, I would rather do that myself, door to door, and
Yeah.
myself be able to talk to somebody than a volunteer.
Yeah. So when does this? How long does this campaign go till? When is the vote and all that? I am really bad at local politics. I'm going to keep stressing that.
It's November 8th, 2022.
Okay, got you.
So
So you still got some time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure.
Gotcha. And you said October is when you'll know when it'll be official that you're the candidate, or whoever will be the candidate.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's October 7th, I believe. No, let me see here. October 8th and 9th.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when are you, or have you already, when are you starting your podcast? Because every libertarian candidate has to. It's kind of mandatory that every libertarian candidate has a podcast that lasts for roughly 4 months to a year until their campaign happens, and then it gets less interesting and they stop doing it. When are you going to start that up?
I'm going to be too busy with my feet on pavement to do podcasts, man.
Good
And
answer.
any podcast I'm doing is going to be with you and Harrison Kemp and Shane Hazel and Spike and Matt Wright and all those guys.
Yeah.
Kokesh.
Yeah. Have you gone on Shane's show yet?
Yeah, I was on with him last week. Shane's
Okay.
pretty great.
Yeah, Shane's awesome. I'll have to check that out because.
I'll be on Joe Rogan next in 2 weeks.
Really? Okay.
No, I wish.
Hey, you never know. I don't know. I was talking to Shane Hazel just like off and on. I didn't really pay attention to what he was doing, and I was like, yeah, you can come on my show. We'll talk and stuff. And then he was like, yeah, I'm running a campaign. And then I realized how big of a deal his campaign was when it was too late. I was like, oh shit. And if he showed up on Joe Rogan because of that campaign, I wouldn't have been that surprised. So you never know. Well, cool, man. Do you have anything that you want to, like, where can people find out the most information about you? Or is there anything else that you want to plug here?
Well, right there, scottschluter.com. Really, what we need now is some donations. We need some funds. We need to print off literature. We need to purchase, this polling data and voter data, like I was talking about. That's very expensive. So if you have a chance, if you have a few bucks you can throw my way, it's going to go to good use. We're not gonna waste it on anything. It's going to be direct contact to the citizens of Illinois.
Awesome. And if you had to give let's say you're knocking on a door and you've got 2 minutes before they slam it in your face, what would you tell the people of Illinois who are living through this tyranny in real time? What would you tell them? 2 minutes, go.
I'd say regardless of what party's been in power, Illinoisans have been fighting an uphill battle against bad policy for decades. We're overtaxed, overregulated, and underrepresented. Our elected officials have forgotten who they work for and what their job is. Their only duty is to preserve our individual liberties and to only legislate with that goal in mind. Instead, we've been sold out for money and power over the years, and it's time that we end that practice. These problems have only been exacerbated with the COVID pandemic. Our rights, livelihoods, and wallets have been stripped clean under the excuse of public safety. We need to lower taxes, reduce spending, deregulate the economy, reform occupational licensing, repeal the FOID, and guarantee constitutional carry. We need to end the drug war. We need to reform criminal justice, fix our pension, a huge list of things. And it's the only way. Reforming these things is the only way to save our state from falling into bankruptcy and our citizens further and further into tyranny. We deserve better, and work with me and we'll work together to build a better Illinois from the ashes of what we're dealing with.
God bless America, and God bless Illinois, the butthole of America. Scott, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks for doing the work that needs to be done that I certainly don't want to do, and I'm sure nobody else wants to do. So my hat goes off to you for that. But yeah, any final thoughts before we kick out of here, man?
Not really. Just want to iterate again. Anybody listening, throw $20 my way. It's going to good use.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. Well, Scott, thanks so much for being here. And to everybody, go check out Scott at Scott Schluter, not Schluter. That sneaky bastard. Go check him out at his website, and definitely keep an eye on this. I will be doing the same. And, if any videos pop up from him, you'll know who it is by the quality. But thank you guys all for watching, and we will talk to you next time. Be sure to go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/the system is down. And until next time, question everything, stay uncomfortable, keep an eye on people with extra vowels and consonants in their name, and we'll talk to you next time. Okay, bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/the system is down for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.